What's up, guys? Today we're going to write a little code to make our character controller support dashing and double jumping. Let's go. All right, so we've got our player here in the scene. So we'll start by heading over to him and going into the player script. Now, I've got some stuff in here that you might not have. I've added a couple of animations and stuff, but that doesn't really pertain to what we're doing here today. So to start with, we want to go ahead and just implement our double jump. So to do that, we're going to need a variable called jump count, and we'll set that to 0. Next, we want to come down to where we have our jump button being pressed, and we're just going to paste this twice below. On our first jump, which was this one right here in the middle, we want to set jump count equals to 1. So this is our player has just jumped. We're going to set jump count equal to 1. On our second jump, which is this one right here, change jump count equal to 2. And since we're already going to be in the air, we can take away is on floor and make sure that this just fires when jump count is equal to 1. And then when we're back on the floor, we want to say if we're not pressing the jump button and we're on the floor, set jump count equal to 0, and we don't want to apply any velocity to the player. So we can go ahead and save, and let's test that out. Here we can jump and double jump. Perfect. Can we triple jump? We cannot triple jump. All right, so that's working. Now let's head back up to the top, and we're going to create a couple of new variables here for our dash. So let's go ahead and create one for dash speed. We'll set that to 4. And we'll also set up a flag for is dashing, and we'll just default that to false. We can go ahead and save. Now we're going to come right down here after our direction is set, and we want to see if our dash button has been pressed. So first things first, if you don't have a dash control already set up in your input map, go up to your project settings, and under input map, you can set up dash. To do that, you just type dash, hit add, and that will add it down to the bottom. And you can hit this little plus sign, and it'll let you hit whatever key you want. For this one, I'm doing it with the right mouse button, but it can be any button that you choose. So we want to detect when that's being pressed. So we'll say if input is action just pressed, and we're looking for dash. Then if we're not dashing and we have a direction, start dash. So our start dash function isn't set up yet, so we'll come down here to the bottom, and under move and slide we can go ahead and set up our start dash. So for here we're going to want to set is dashing equal to true because we are dashing. Then we need a timer. So over here I've got a dash timer set up, and it's at 0.4 seconds with a 1 shot set. So we can just drag this dash timer right in, and we will connect it on timeout to a function called stop dash. Right after we connect it, we'll go ahead and start our timer. So we obviously need a function then called stop dash, where we will set is dashing equal to false. And so what this is going to do is when we hit our dash button, it's going to trigger this function, set is dashing to true so we know we're dashing, and then start our timer. Our timer is going to go for 0.4 seconds, and it's only going to go 1 time, so it won't loop forever. And that's what this 1 shot is. Once that's done, it's going to trigger this stop dash function, and that's going to make is dashing equal to false. So let's go ahead and apply is dashing to our movement. So back up here under where our direction is set, you can see here we're setting our x velocity is equal to direction times speed. So what we want to do here is we want to say if is dashing, then we want to do direction times speed times dash speed. Else, so if we're not dashing, then we can just do regular direction times speed for our velocity. Let's see what we get here. So I'm running, and then I'm going to hit my right mouse button, and I dash for 0.4 seconds. All right. Now, we can make this look a little bit cooler with some particles. So I've gone ahead and set up some dash particles right here, and I'll just walk through the settings with you real quick. So we've turned off emitting because we don't want our particles emitting from the back of our character just by default. I've set the amount to 50, lifetime to 0.5. So that's the amount of time that the particles are going to stay on the screen. It's half a second. And we want a little bit of randomness, so I've set this to 0.46. For the draw order, I'm doing lifetime instead of index. That just sort of smooths out how the particles will come about. And then for the texture, I'm just using this white hexagon that I made in Microsoft Paint. You could really use any sort of shape you want to sort of determine how your dash particles are going to look. After that, we've set the emission shape to rectangle. And for the rect extents, I put Y to 40. And what that's going to do is that's going to stretch out the height of the rectangle to about the height of my character. For gravity, I've changed the X value to minus 2000 pixels, and that's going to make the dash particles go to the left of my character. And under linear acceleration, we've changed the maximum acceleration to 66.42. Anywhere around there works. And then I've gone to create this curve where I'm starting out really high up top, and then by the end, evening out at 0. So this will make the particles come out of the character really quickly, and then they will slow down slowly as they go along. So we've got the min and max value at minus 200, 200. That could be 0 to 1. It's however you want to set up your range. I just find this convenient. So for the scale here, we've got a min scale of 0, which what we want to do is we want the particles to come out of our character large and then sort of scale down as they get further away. So our min scale amount is 0 and our max scale amount is 0.2. And you may have to adjust this depending on what size texture you use. Mine's 256 by 256, so 0.2 is about 20% of the total size. That tends to look good here. And then for our scale amount curve, we're starting off at 1 up top, and then about 75% of the way through, we're going to go all the way down to 0. And like I said, that's going to start the particles out at 20% of their original size, and then as they get further away from our player, they are going to disappear by shrinking. For our color ramp here, I've set green going into white, and that's just to match the colors of my level. This could really be any kind of gradient that you want to just sort of give it some flavor, give it a vibe. And then for the ordering, I've set the z-index to 1. And this is because my player is actually on z-index 2. This may be slightly different for you, but what we want is we want our z-index of our dash particles to actually be lower than the z-index for the player, and that way the particles will show up behind the player. First thing we want to do is we want to make sure that depending on the direction of the player, we are flipping our gravity for the dash particles. So that way, if we run left, the particles will sort of fly out to the right behind the player, and if we run right, the particles will fly out to the left behind the player. So to do that, I've got this conditional here, velocity x is greater than 0, and I'm using this to flip my sprite depending on which way he's running. And so we'll just sort of piggyback on that and say dash particles dot gravity dot x equals 2000, or actually equals negative 2000. And this is set up because when we did our dash particle gravity over here, we set that to minus 2000. And so we're just going to keep the same sort of value. The opposite of that being positive 2000 if velocity.x is less than 0. So the next thing we want to do is we want to apply our dash particle emitter inside our start and stop dash functions. So we can have dash particles dot emitting equals true. And then we'll just copy that and bring this down here to stop dash where we will turn off the particles. And let's see what that looks like. All right, running, and there we go. I have my dash particles. And what's cool about this, the particles work in world space. So as I'm going along and I'm jumping, you can see they kind of curve. And if this isn't happening for you, then in your particles, you can make sure you have local coordinates unchecked. If this is on and we try to do it, you'll see the particles always just come out in a straight line behind my character. They don't really have that dynamic sort of feel to them. And so we want local coordinates to be off, and that will give us this nice sort of like curve that follows the direction we're jumping. So if we combine these, we can actually do some cool movements. So we can sort of zip up to the top, you know, with our double jump and our dash, and we can sort of hop all around the level. And you know, you can play with the parameters to make it work however you'd like, but I feel like this is a pretty good mix of double jump and dash that sort of gives me the result that I was looking for. So that's it, guys. That's how you double jump and dash and put a cool little particle effect behind your character using Godot 4. Thanks for watching.